So I got this cop fired on live TV, and now I can't even walk into a store without someone trying to film me back. It's insane. I'm Amelia. By the way, I'm 26. You'd think people would understand it wasn't my fault, but no. Everyone acts like I'm the bad guy. Like I wanted any of this to happen. It's just so typical. Right. Always gotta blame the woman. It all started with Leo. Leo was, well, he was okay. He was that guy who always tried to fix things. You know, like, if I was upset about something, he'd go all quiet and get this sad puppy look, like he was trying to figure out what he did wrong, even when he did absolutely nothing. It was kind of cute at first. That whole "I'm so worried about you" baby thing, but it got old really fast, especially when he started acting like he was my dad or something, always asking where I was going, who I was with. Like, excuse me, I'm an adult. I pay my own bills, mostly. We've been together for about 2 years, living together in this decent 2-bedroom place. His name was on the lease, but my stuff was there. So it was basically mine too. He worked in accounting, something boring, and I was, at my job. It was fine. We'd split the rent. Well, I'd chip in when I felt like it, or when he'd give me that look, but mostly he covered the bigger stuff. I mean, he made more money. It just made sense. He'd complain sometimes, but I'd just act all sad and say something like, "Babe, you know how hard things have been for me lately?" And he'd back off. Works every time. Things were already kind of tense. He was always on my case about little things. Like, I'd leave my clothes on the floor and he'd get all passive-aggressive about it. Or I'd come home late from hanging out with my girls, and he'd be waiting up, pretending he was just watching TV, but I could tell he was annoyed. He'd never say anything, just sigh really loud. Honestly, it was exhausting. I just wanted to chill. Then came the whole incident. It was a Saturday. Pretty mild day. I was out with my friends, Tiffany and Chloe. We were just browsing some boutiques. Just looking. I saw this really cute top, but it was, way too expensive. Tiffany was trying it on, and Chloe was snapping pictures for her, being all goofy. I wasn't really paying attention, just kind of scrolling through my phone. When I bumped into someone, or they bumped into me, whatever, this guy, a cop, he was off duty, I guess, but still wearing his uniform. He spilled his coffee all over my new purse. Not a big deal, right? Accidents happen. But then he didn't even apologize properly. He just kind of grunted, like I was the one who caused the problem. And my purse, it was like a designer knockoff, but it was my knockoff, and it had coffee all over it. I looked at him, and he just had this smug look on his face. Like, what are you going to do about it? And honestly, that really set me off. Who does he think he is? Just because he wears a badge doesn't mean he can just go around spilling coffee on people's things and not even say sorry. I mean, common courtesy, right? So I said something, probably a little loud, about him being clumsy, and he just rolled his eyes. That's when I pulled out my phone. I started recording him. Tiffany and Chloe were like, "Amelia, what are you doing?" But I didn't care. I was so mad. I told him, "You're on camera now, mister. Let's see how smug you are when this goes viral." He just scoffed. And then he said something like, "You think I care about some little TikTok video?" That really pushed me over the edge. I started yelling, "This is unacceptable. You're a public servant. You're supposed to protect and serve, not spill coffee on innocent people and be rude about it." A few people started looking. He got all red-faced, and he was like, "Ma'am, I'm asking you to stop recording." But I wasn't going to, not after that attitude. He reached for my phone, and I pulled it back. That's when he grabbed my arm. Not hard, but enough to make me feel like he was trying to intimidate me. That's when Tiffany, bless her heart, she started recording too, and Chloe was already streaming on Facebook Live. I hadn't even realized it. Chloe's always doing that, live streaming everything. She has, a decent following. Not huge, but enough. So suddenly, it was all out there. Me yelling, him looking flustered, me pulling my arm away. I was crying. Not ugly crying, but enough to make my voice crack. I said, "He assaulted me. He grabbed me," which, okay, he didn't assault me. Not really. But he definitely grabbed my arm, and it felt like an assault in that moment. The next day, it was everywhere. Chloe's live stream, combined with my video, and Tiffany's too. People were sharing it like crazy. Rogue cop attacks innocent woman. Police brutality caught on camera. It was insane. I woke up to, a million notifications. My phone was blowing up. People were messaging me, cheering me on, saying I was so brave. It felt good. Honestly, finally, someone was seeing what I had to put up with. Not just with the cop, but just, like, generally, people always assume the worst about me. You know, Leo. Though, oh my God, he was so mad. He saw the news reports, and he was like, Amelia, what have you done? Like I did something wrong. He kept saying, you antagonized him. You shouldn't have been recording. And I was like, excuse me. He spilled coffee on my purse, and then he grabbed me. What was I supposed to do? Just stand there and take it? He started saying something about how I always escalate things, how I always have to be the victim. That's when I just shut down. I just looked at him with big, sad eyes and didn't say anything. He knew what that meant. He always backed down when I did that. He tried to be supportive, in his own annoying way. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Blah, blah, blah. But I could tell he was judging me. I could just feel it. The way he looked at me, like I was some kind of freak show between us. I wanted to scream at him to just shut up and get me some ice cream, but I just kept quiet. Let him stew in his own guilt for thinking I was wrong. The cop, his name was Officer Jenkins or something. He got suspended. Then they announced they were launching an internal investigation. And then, a few days later, it was official. He was fired, all because of me, or, because of his own bad behavior. People online were going wild. Half of them were praising me, calling me a hero. The other half, though, those were the ones that really started to get to me. They were calling me all sorts of names. Attention seeker, drama queen, fake victim. It was just too much. And that's when it started. The filming, the first time it happened, I was just at the grocery store, picking up some stuff for dinner. I was in the produce aisle, looking at avocados, when I noticed this guy with his phone up, pretending to text. But the camera was clearly pointed at me. I tried to ignore it, but I could feel my face getting hot. Then another person, a woman, walked by and very obviously filmed me as she passed. She gave me this look. You know that I know who you are and I don't like it. Look, it wasn't just in stores. I'd be walking down the street and someone would pull out their phone, or I'd be at the coffee shop and I'd see a flash, and then someone would quickly put their phone away. It was subtle at first, but it just kept happening. Every single day. It got to the point where I couldn't even leave the house without feeling like I was being watched, like I was a zoo animal. I told Leo about it, and he was like, well, what did you expect? Amelia, you put yourself out there. You went viral. Like it was my fault. I mean, I didn't ask to go viral. I just wanted that cop to realize he couldn't treat people like that. It wasn't about fame or anything. It was about principle. He just didn't get it. He never got it. He was always so quick to invalidate my feelings. Like I was being dramatic. You're overreacting, he'd say. Or, it's not that serious. He didn't understand how it felt to have everyone judging you. It even started happening at my job. I work at, the office, and one day, I was in the break room, and I saw two of my coworkers, Becky and Sarah, whispering and looking at me. Then Becky pulled out her phone, and I just knew she was filming me. I mean, what is wrong with people? Can't a girl just live her life? I went to my boss, and I was like, they're harassing me. They're filming me. And my boss, he just kind of sighed and said, Amelia, we can't really control what people do on their personal phones. Like, he was okay with it. It was so unfair. My boss, he was a total burnt out type, just totally exhausted and checked out. He just wanted problems to go away. I started staying home more. It was just easier. Ordering groceries online, working from home whenever I could. Leo would get all annoyed. You're turning into a hermit? He'd say, you need to get out. But how could I? Every time I stepped outside, it was like a target was painted on my back. And he still didn't understand. He'd just sit there, watching TV, like nothing was wrong. He was so emotionally distant sometimes. It was infuriating. One night, he wanted to go out to dinner, like a nice restaurant. I said no. I just wanted to order in. He got all huffy and said, Amelia, this is ridiculous. It's been weeks. You can't just hide forever. And I just looked at him, really sad, and said, I just don't feel safe. Leo, don't you care about my feelings? He always fell for it. He'd sigh and then say, of course I care. Baby? Okay, whatever you want. And then he'd order pizza. It was so easy to get him to do what I wanted. He was such a too nice guy, always trying to make me happy. He'd avoid conflict like the plague. I knew he was getting tired of it, though I could see it in his eyes. He stopped asking me to go out as much. He'd just, sigh and go do his own thing. He started going to the gym more and out with his guy friends. And when he did that, I'd get all jealous. Not that I cared about him specifically, but it was like he was having fun. And I was stuck at home because of all this drama he didn't even care about. I'd ask him where he was going, who he was with, just the guys. He'd say, "Why? You don't trust me." And I'd be like, "No, it's not that. I just worry about you, babe," which was a total lie. I just didn't want him to be out enjoying himself while I was stuck feeling miserable. I even checked his phone a few times when he was in the shower. Nothing crazy, just like his messages. He never found out. Of course, I'm good at being sneaky, but if he ever tried to check my phone, forget about it. Total double standard? I know, but it's different with me. I have a right to my privacy. Then came the really bad part. My car? I have this nice little car, not super fancy, but it gets me around. I was going to pick up some takeout, feeling brave for once. And when I came out of the restaurant, someone had keyed my car, right down the side. A huge, jagged scratch. And then spray painted on the hood, in big red letters, it said, "Cop haters get what they deserve." My heart just dropped. I started crying right there in the parking lot. This wasn't just random people filming me anymore. This was personal. This was someone who really hated me. I called Leo, sobbing. He rushed over, and for once, he didn't try to invalidate my feelings. He just hugged me. "We'll call the police," he said. "We'll file a report." But then the police came, and they were cold, like they already knew who I was. The officer, a young woman, she just looked at the scratch, wrote a few notes, and then said, "Well, ma'am, this is what happens when you create public spectacles." I was stunned. I mean, really? She was blaming me for my car being vandalized, just like Leo always did. She was practically doing a mental shade session on me in her head. I could feel it. She acted all polite, but her eyes were like daggers. Honestly, what a total bitch. Leo saw my face. He tried to defend me. "Officer, that's completely inappropriate. She's the victim here." But the officer just shrugged, just saying, "Actions have consequences." And then they left. They didn't even seem to care. After that, Leo started acting differently. He stopped trying to talk me into going out. He didn't complain when I ordered food delivery every night. He just kind of existed. He was a Mr. Growth mindset kind of guy sometimes, always talking about self-improvement and boundaries. But he was slowly becoming a burnt-out version of himself. He'd come home from work, sit on the couch, and just stare at the TV. He was so tired, so disengaged. I tried to talk to him once, asked him if he was okay. He just said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired?" He was getting harder and harder to read. Then his mom, who was always a little bit, old school, started calling him. She was always trying to get him to be a breadwinner and have traditional values. She'd seen the news, of course. And she started telling him that I was trouble, that I was ruining his life. I'd hear him on the phone trying to defend me, but his voice would be so weak. It was like he was just going through the motions. I could feel him pulling away, and I hated it. I didn't want him to pull away. I just wanted him to understand that all the filming, the car, it wasn't my fault. I mean, sure, I recorded the cop, but he grabbed me, and he was rude. I was just reacting. Anyone would have reacted. One day, he came home from work, and he sat me down on the couch, and he just looked at me, really serious. "Amelia," he said, I think we need a break." My heart pounded. A break. What was he talking about? A break. What does that even mean? "Leo," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. But I could feel the panic rising. "It means I need some space. This whole situation, it's too much. I can't live like this." I felt my eyes well up. "So, you're just going to abandon me? After everything I've been through, after my car got vandalized, and people are harassing me." I started to cry. Really cry this time. "I thought you loved me. Leo, I thought you were supposed to be here for me." He just looked at me, his face completely blank. Not angry, not sad, just empty. "Amelia, I've tried. I really have. But you don't take responsibility for anything. Everything is always someone else's fault. You can't see what you do." What I do, I practically shrieked. What about him? What about the cop? What about all those awful people filming me? What about the person who keyed my car? Are you blaming me for that too? I was really letting the waterworks flow. I figured this would make him back down, like always. But he didn't. He just shook his head. "No, Amelia, I'm not blaming you for the cop or the vandalism, but I am saying that your actions contributed to a situation that has spiraled out of control. and you refuse to acknowledge your part in it. You just keep blaming everyone else. He got up and started walking towards the bedroom. I'm going to stay at my brother's place for a while. I need to think. You're leaving me? I wailed. You're just going to leave me here alone. He paused at the door. I'm not leaving you. Amelia, I'm just taking a break. I need some peace. And then he went into the bedroom. I heard him packing a small bag. A backpack? Not a duffel bag. Just a backpack. I just sat there on the couch, stunned. I couldn't believe it. He was actually leaving. I mean, he'd threatened it before, during arguments, but he'd never actually done it. This was different. He wasn't even yelling. He was just calm, and that was scarier than any yelling. He left that night, just like that. The apartment felt so empty. I kept expecting him to come back, to apologize, to say he made a mistake, but he didn't. He called me the next day, a really short call. I just need some time. Amelia, I'll be in touch. A week passed, then 2. He barely responded to my texts. When he did, it was just one-word answers. I tried everything. I tried being sweet. I tried being angry. I tried being sad. Nothing worked. He was just gone. And then I found out the real truth. Through Tiffany, actually. She'd been out with Chloe, and they'd seen Leo, not alone, with someone else, a woman. Tiffany tried to be nice about it. Amelia, I don't want to upset you, but... And then she told me he was with some girl from his office. They were laughing. They looked happy. My blood ran cold. No, wait, that's not right. My blood didn't run cold. My blood boiled. How could he move on so fast? After everything we'd been through, after I had been through, he was supposed to be my rock. And he just replaced me with some boring office girl. She was probably super normal and didn't make any trouble for him. What a low blow. He was totally a history rewriter, changing the narrative to make me seem like the bad guy. I tried to call him, but he didn't answer. I texted him. So, you're just going to cheat on me after all this? After everything I did for you? He responded, Amelia, we're on a break. We're not together right now. And I'm not cheating. Oh, really? I texted back, fury burning in my chest. So you're just going to discard me like trash? After all my effort? I mean, I put up with your messy habits, your annoying family, your boring job, and this is how you repay me. I was really laying it on thick, scorekeeping everything he'd ever done wrong. He never acknowledged my effort, even though I did so much for him. Like, I let him pay for everything. That's effort, right? He didn't respond. That was it. He was gone. But the karmic justice, they call it, it hit, not him, me. And it was worse than just the filming in the car. It started with my job. Remember Becky and Sarah, the ones who filmed me? Well, they ended up going to HR. They said I was creating a hostile work environment by accusing them of filming me and blowing things out of proportion. They also brought up how I was always complaining about other coworkers and how I was difficult to work with. And my boss, the burnt out one, he just let it happen. He probably just wanted me gone so he didn't have to deal with the drama. I got called into HR. They told me that while they understood my concerns, my behavior had been disruptive, and they'd received multiple complaints about my attitude and unprofessionalism. They put me on a performance improvement plan. It was basically a warning, like, shape up or ship out. I mean, I work hard. It's not my fault if other people are sensitive. I felt like screaming. I had been working there for a while, and suddenly I was the problem. It was absurd. Then the financial stuff started. Without Leo covering the bigger bills, things got tight, really tight. My car, with the huge scratch and the spray paint, became a nightmare. My insurance wouldn't cover the full cost of the repair because it was vandalism, and my deductible was high. I had to pay a huge chunk out of pocket. And then, since my job was on shaky ground, I couldn't really afford it. I had to get a loan. A high-interest loan? My credit started taking a hit. I had to scale back on everything. No more expensive takeout. No more boutique brows. Even going out with Tiffany and Chloe became a luxury I couldn't afford. They didn't really get it. They'd still invite me, but I'd always have to make some excuse. It was embarrassing. I even considered asking Leo for money, but my pride wouldn't let me. And the filming? It didn't stop. It actually got worse. Now, when people filmed me, they wouldn't even pretend to be discreet. They'd hold their phones right up, sometimes even say things under their breath, like, there she is. The cop firing queen, it was like everyone knew. Everyone hated me. My social life collapsed. Tiffany and Chloe, they started distancing themselves. They'd still talk to me, but their calls became less frequent. They stopped inviting me out. They started making excuses. I mean, I guess it's hard to be friends with someone who's always, like, the center of controversy, right? I'd see them posting on Facebook, at parties, at brunches, and I wasn't there. It felt like they were actively excluding me, all because of this stupid cop incident. And Leo leaving just made it worse. I was alone. I was living in that apartment, which was mostly empty now, without Leo's stuff. And I felt trapped. Every time I looked at the coffee stain on my knockoff purse, or the scratch on my car, or saw a new message about my job, it was a reminder of how much my life had spun out of control. I tried to apply for other jobs, but every time I had an interview, I could feel them looking me up. They'd ask about the gap in my social media presence, or how I dealt with public scrutiny, and I just knew. They knew about the cop. They knew about the videos. They knew about the vandalism. And no one wanted to hire someone who came with that much baggage. My professional reputation was completely ruined. So here I am, alone. My car is still keyed up. My job is hanging by a thread. My friends are gone. Leo's moved on with some basic office girl who probably thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he probably tells her how I'm the crazy one. And I can't even go to the store without feeling like I'm being filmed. It's like a constant spotlight on my failures. But it's not my failures, you know. It's everyone else's. Do I regret getting that cop fired? No. He deserved it. He was rude, and he grabbed me. Do I regret speaking up? No. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect. What I do regret is how things turned out. I regret that everyone else couldn't see that I was the victim here. I regret that no one stood up for me. I regret that Leo, of all people, walked out on me when I needed him the most. And I regret that I'm the one stuck with all the consequences, while everyone else just moves on with their perfect, boring lives. It's just so unfair. But I don't care anymore. I really don't. Leo can have his new girlfriend. My old friends can gossip about me all they want. And everyone else can film me all they want. I'm not going to let it get to me. I'm stronger than that. I always have been. It's just, still a little annoying. But I'll figure it out. I always do. It's everyone else's problem, not mine.